Good morning. Welcome. It's good to be together again. And if you're joining us online, thanks for joining us. If you are here on site, it's really cool to be in the room. I'm going to ask you a question, and I hope everyone's able to answer this question. And if you're online, put it in the chat. I just want you to know, just by a show of hands, have you ever been on holiday? Ever in your life? Have you ever been on holiday? Well, we've all got that in common. How about that? Hey, that's pretty cool. You know, I mean, maybe it was a beach, maybe it was a cottage, maybe it was somewhere exotic, maybe it was a staycation, I don't know, but we've all been away. But I'd like to take you back in time. Some of you are too young to remember this, but for some of us, this was our experience if we were going to go on a holiday ourselves. We'd go to this place called a travel agent. And they worked in what was called a travel agency. And they were on the high street. That's that place where all the hairdressers and bedding shops are now. So what would happen is you'd go into this shop, and on one side of the wall, I can only be described as just the mecca of magazines. And we have an example here on the screen. It was like there were just all these just magazines all along one side of the wall, sometimes a whole corner, and there was a row of desks, and people would sit at these desks. And what you would do is you would go in there, and your parents did this when you were younger. You don't remember this because you didn't have to do it. You just got to go on holiday, but someone had to pay for it for you. Just remember that when you get to be an adult. And anyway, so you're standing there, and you get to look at this wall. And on this wall, there's things like Asian excursions, or Egyptian adventures, or Greek holidays, or there was this thing called 18 to 30s. There used to be a thing. There was the Americas, there were all different categories, and you'd stand there and you had to sort of pick one. And if you were like me, I'm not the best at making decisions sometimes, but you stand there and you're like, I'm gonna go everywhere. They're just so cool. And so you might grab a magazine, and you'd have this stack of magazines, and then you would have to, believe it or not, you'd have to scroll through a piece of paper. And you would have to just look like this, and then you'd read a bit about this holiday, you'd read about what it was like, you'd get some idea of prices, and you try to get some idea of what's going on. But while you're there in this world of confusion and overwhelm, someone would come up to you, and they'd say, would you like to go on holiday? Being me, I would just be thinking, duh. I didn't come in here for a sandwich, right? No, just kidding. Anyway, so yes, I'd like to go on holiday. I can make fun of travel agents. I was one for a while, so there we go. So and then what happens is, they'd say, where do you want to go? Somewhere hot. That was the answer that usually came from someone in my family. It wasn't me, let's just say that. Let's go somewhere hot. And the travel agent is sitting there thinking, yeah, that's like 60% of the globe, I need a bit more narrowing of the field. And then they ask you the next question, what's your budget? How much would you like to spend? And then what do we say? As little as possible, right? And the travel agent is sitting there, they're thinking, right, you have no idea where you want to go. You don't want to pay hardly anything for it. I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes going through loads of options, and then you're just going to walk away and not book it with me anyway. But they smile, and they're helpful, and they click away on the computers, and they look at everything, and they try to figure out, what you want to do for a holiday. And we're doing a summer series at the moment called Making the Most, and we want to make the most of the moment, making the most. So we're using this idea as the summer season. We're going to look at this idea of making the most of something. And last week we looked at what it really meant to seize the day. If you haven't seen that yet or caught that yet, please go ahead and follow on YouTube. Follow us on the socials, and you can catch up on some of those messages if you missed it. But today we're going to talk about making a beeline and making some decisions in life. And I want to give a few principles, a few ideas about what that really means. And so what we're looking at today is a couple of really basic ideas, because when you're wanting to go on holiday, you have to figure out where you're going to go. And so therefore, we're looking at this thing called Make a Beeline. Now, if you know anything about bees, if you ever watched Richard Attenborough, the expression make a beeline, of course, is when the worker bee goes out and it finds a little it's got a flower and it finds some pollen, and it goes back to the hive, yeah? And it does a little dance, does a little boogie, and it's like this little dance, this little boogie thing is some sort of secret code to tell all the other bees where the pollen is. It's pretty fascinating. How far, what direction, etc. It's called a waggle dance. But the bee does this little dance which communicates, no, I've not had too much to drink, I'm just going to tell you where to find the pollen, right? So then all the worker bees watch this bee dancing, and they know where to go. And they make a beeline for the pollen, and they can go straight to it. It means to not be distracted. It means to not get diverted. It means to know where you're going and to go for it. So as we make the most, that's what we're going to look at today. Make a beeline. And the first thing, the first principle that we need to know when we're going to make a beeline in life is know where you are going. It's pretty practical. Today's going to be really practical. And standing in that travel agent, looking at all those magazines and looking at all those options, you actually have to decide where you want to go. The world's a big place. There's lots of different countries you can visit, lots of different experiences you can have, but you have to make your mind up. You need to make a decision. You need to know where you want to go. And it's okay, and it's a really helpful thing to learn in life. I mean, you go into McDonald's and you stand at that menu and you look at that menu, and if you don't make up your mind, if you don't make a decision, you will not get fed. Because they're not going to know what to give you. It's just the way it is. If you came in this morning and you're like, oh, should I have a tea? Should I have a coffee? Should I have a tea? Should I have a coffee? Oh, water. Should I have a tea? Should I have a coffee? Should I have a water? If you don't make a mind up, if you don't make a decision, if you don't make a choice, you actually won't have anything to drink. So the first principle, if we're going to be people who make a beeline and go to where we want to go, we really have to be people who know where we are going. We have to make our minds up. We have to, make a choice. And that's okay. There's this story in the Bible about making a choice. And what happened was, you might have heard about this group of people. They were the Israelites, and they were slaves. There's a few films about it. There's one with Charlton Heston called The Ten Commandments. There's an animated one called The Prince of Egypt. And the Jewish people, the Israelites, were slaves in Egypt, and they were there for hundreds of years. And then they got set free. And after they got set free and delivered, they then were on a journey to find where they needed to go. And this guy Moses was their leader. And then Moses dies, and the next guy that was the leader was Joshua. And at the end of Joshua's life, nearing the end of his life, he basically gathers everyone together, and he has this conversation. And what he says to them, he says, I want to remind you of some things. I want to challenge you about some stuff. I want to make you just remind you of what we're doing. And he talked about how the faithfulness of God, how God had helped deliver them out of Egypt when they were slaves and no longer slaves, how they crossed the Red Sea, how they did all these things, and how God was faithful for them, how he helped them overcome certain enemies and make it in certain places. And he's reminding them of the history. And he gathers everybody together, and maybe it's an environment, a big gathering of people. And then in this big gathering of people, there's people who remember what Joshua was talking about, and there's people who have never experienced it for themselves because they were younger, or they were children, or they weren't around. They didn't see the stuff that he's talking about. So it's a mixed group of people that have experienced it and people that didn't really experience it. People that weren't there, they're just getting it sort of secondhand. It was their grandparents that experienced this type of stuff. And so Joshua's reminding everybody, and then he talks to them about making a choice. And he says this, it's in Joshua 24, it's near the end of his life. And he says this, choose today who you are going to serve. If serving the Lord seems like a bad thing to you, choose something else. Maybe you're in a place today where you're I'm not really sure about faith. I'm kind of thinking about where I'm going to be. I'm not really sure about what it would mean to actually give my life to following Jesus. And hey, if that's too big of a step for you, there's no pressure. Everybody's faith journey is unique, and choose something else. Yeah? So Joshua's saying, look, if serving the Lord doesn't seem like a good thing, then choose yourself who you are going to serve. And he carries on. It says, will it be the gods of your ancestors? So the stuff in the past, will it be the history? You're going to give your life to the things that happened in the past. You're going to live your life with the history. Or is it the gods in the land where you're living now? Or are you going to serve the culture around you? You're going to serve society. You're going to serve the way culture tells you to live. You're going to serve live in the past or serve in the present. And then Joshua says, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. And we all are followers of something. We all follow something. You might not be a follower of Jesus. That's okay. You're following something. Bob Dylan wrote a song about it, right? You got to serve somebody. We all do. We all follow something. We all follow somebody. And we all have a choice in life. And whether you're exploring, whether you want to be with your faith, and you're great. I'm really happy that you're here today. If you're watching this, thank you so much for tuning in. But wherever you are in your journey, at some point, we all make a decision. We all have to make a choice. It's like standing in a travel agent and looking at the magazines. We're not going to go anywhere until we make a choice, until we actually make a decision. Because if you actually make a decision to follow Jesus, something has to happen. Something begins to change. What begins to change is the way you live your life, because you live your life for Jesus. And it's possible, and it will happen, that by doing so, it could be a big step. It would mean that there's things that you have to do differently in your life, things that you have to change about your life. Because the second principle when it comes to making a beeline, not only do we need to know where we are going, we have to know what to leave and what we have to take with us. We have to know what we take with us, and we have to know what to leave behind. Because when you decide where you're going, it's going to give you clarity over what you bring with you. For example, we've all been on holiday. We all said we've been on holiday. Now just imagine you're going on holiday. We took a group of teenagers a number of years ago to Norway for New Year's Eve, and it was going to be very, very cold. It was very, very cold. We stood at the top of this mountain after a cable car trip to the top of the mountain. I put a bottle of Sprite down. We did a big group photo. I picked up the bottle of Sprite, and I kid you not, by the time I picked it up, it was full of ice crystals. It was so cold. Like, in a moment, like, this bottle was like freezing. It was crazy cold. And I'm going to tell you now, I did not pack my bikini. I don't have a bikini. I'm going to tell you now, we didn't pack any sunblock. We didn't pack any swimming clothes. Yeah. We had to go buy special stuff, special gloves, some special sunglasses. And if you've ever gone on winter holidays, you know that you have to pack differently, because when you know where you're going, what you bring with you is different because of where you've decided to go. Now, if you go to a warm place, a summery place, you know that you take something that's not cold weather, right? Oh, the next picture's come up, has it? Yeah. You know anybody like that? Yeah. I'm only bringing the essentials, she says. Anyway, yeah, because when you know where you're going, it helps give you clarity over what you have to bring with you and what you have to leave behind. If you go somewhere hot, you don't take your woolly coat. You don't take a big woolly jumper. You don't take a big heavy... I mean, if you're going somewhere hot, it's like your luggage is this size because you don't need much stuff. When you have clarity over where you're going, it's going to help determine what you bring with you and what you leave behind. Now, sometimes to go forward, most times to go forward, we have to leave something behind. That's a reality, isn't it? Have you ever moved house? Yeah? If you've ever moved house, you had to leave one place and go to somewhere else. You left your old house behind, didn't you? You don't live there anymore. You just practically don't live there anymore. You've left the old behind. And when we move forward, we leave something behind. Because saying yes to something is saying no to something else. That's okay. That's life. When you say yes to one thing, you are saying no to something else. When you're in that travel agent and you look at those holidays and you think, yeah, I'd like to go to the Mediterranean. I'm going to go for the Mediterranean holidays. And you took that brochure and you spoke to somebody about going to the Mediterranean. You were saying no about going to Central America. When you said yes to one thing, you say no to another thing. That's the way it works. That's the way it works in relationships. That's the way it works in job situations. That's the way it works when you decide if you're going to have a Big Mac or a Quarter Pounder. If you say yes to the Big Mac, you're saying no to the Quarter Pounder. Every time you make a decision, it's a yes for one thing and a no for another thing. It's super practical. And it's okay to say no to something, and it's okay to say yes to something. It will help us as we get going forward in life. You know, when you choose to study certain subjects in school, it's like you said no to other subjects. If you choose to go to this university, it's saying no to that university. If you go for that job, it's saying no for that job. You see, every time we make a decision, it's saying yes to one thing and no to something else. So now that we know that we're going, and now that you know what you need for your journey, does that mean everything is going to be smooth sailing? If we want to make a beeline in life, we want to make our decision, we want to know where we're going, we've decided what we're going to do in life, does that just automatically mean that everything's just going to be, you know, clear roads, happy days, all that sort of stuff? I don't know. I think there's enough of us that have lived long enough in this room to know that life doesn't actually always work out that way. We make plans, we make decisions, we know what we're going to do, and then something happens. And the third principle for when we make a beeline in life, you've got to know that there will be roadblocks. It's part of life. There is going to be some roadblocks. Last year, a friend and I were in the car, and we were going to go to another friend's funeral, friend's mother's funeral. So we jumped in the car, we left on time, we were going where we need to go. We come up to the exit off the A1M, and it's like, road closed. And I said, oh my gosh, what do we do now? So we had to stay on the A1M, we had to go further to the next exit, we had to turn around, we had to come back up. It was absolutely annoying. I felt under pressure. We're going to someone's funeral, so like you don't really want to show up late for a funeral. It's not really what you do. You know, you just sort of bust a gut to get there. We did get there in the end. But the thing is, you have to let a roadblock can do one of two things, okay? It will destroy your destination or divert your destination. Here's what I mean. When you hit a roadblock in life, you don't have to let it destroy where you intended to go. Because when you hit a roadblock, when you hit a problem, when you hit something that you did not expect, that you did not want, that you did not anticipate, that you did not look forward to, that you had no idea was coming, you just did not want this to happen, and it happened, what are you going to do about it? If you're driving somewhere, we do this in the car, but sometimes for some reason we forget to do this in life. If you're driving in the car, have you ever been in a car and you have to get your path rerouted? Yeah, you've done that? Have you done that? So when it comes to driving a car, we do this. We hit this, oh, this road's closed, and then it reroutes me. And we carry on. But when it comes to life, something happens, and it's like, ugh, we get knocked for 6, and then it's like everything is destroyed, and everything's not good anymore, and everything's horrible. And it's just like sometimes we hit these roadblocks, and it can actually destroy our destination rather than cause us to divert. And if you're a follower of Jesus, you might have faced, or even if you're not a follower of Jesus, you might have faced some challenge in life. So think about it this way. You had a challenge, and you faced a challenge that you didn't anticipate in school. What are you going to do about it? Okay, you've chosen that school to go to, you're working at that school, you're trying to learn these subjects, and then something happened that you didn't really like. What are you going to do about it? You're going to let it destroy you to the point where you're saying, I'm going to stay at home now, I'm never going to go to school again? Or you're going to say, you know what, I'm going to find another way to carry on. I'm going to find another way to accomplish what I'm working at, what I'm trying to get done in life. Maybe you were in a workplace environment, maybe you had a job and you wanted to get a promotion, or you wanted to work, and it just didn't work out the way you wanted. What are you going to do about it? You're going to let it like destroy all your hope and destroy all your zest for life and let it suck all the joy out of you? What do we do when someone we love gets sick? What do we do when someone we love dies? What do we do when something that we prayed for doesn't give us the answer that we wanted? What do we do when we have these challenges where we all of a sudden we face something that we never wanted to face in life? What will it do? Will it destroy us achieving our destination, or will it just divert us on our destination? Because if you want to make a beeline in life, if you want to make it to where you're supposed to go, Not only do you have to decide where you're going to go, not only do you have to know what to leave and what to take with you, you also have to know that there's going to be some roadblocks along the way. There's going to be something that's going to get in the way that you never anticipated, never expected. It's going to cost you time. It might even cost you more money. It's just totally unexpected. Some people have been on the news of late because the holiday crisis at the airport, right? They show up, they wanted to go away, and then the bags are getting lost. There's not enough agents in the airlines. They're blaming the government for not doing security clearances quick enough. And and you've got airlines blaming actual airports not hiring enough staff. Last week, EasyJet said Heathrow hasn't hired enough people. You got everybody blaming each other for all these problems. We got people sitting in airports who've just found out their flights are canceled. Right? It's chaos. You go, it is going mad. And so think about it. That's going to happen. And it's not nice when it happens. It's inconvenient when it happens. It's awkward and it's annoying and it's costly and it's not what you wanted to have happen because nobody wants a roadblock. But if you're going to travel through life, no matter what age you are, if you realize that there's going to be a roadblock in life, that's going to help you be prepared for it. I can't tell you what it's going to be for you, but you will face a roadblock. You'll face something that gets in the way of where you wanted to go. Something will be in the way of what you wanted to achieve. Something will be in the way of what you're hoping for, reaching for, wanting. And what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? And just because we have a roadblock, it doesn't mean you have to stop traveling. It just means you might need to figure out a different route. Right, the fourth principle. Know how to run. You got to know how to run. Now, I don't mean like, one foot in front of the other and like, if you keep your, you got to do the Cristiano Ronaldo thing because the guy is like a machine, he runs and he keeps himself really like, he doesn't run like this. Yeah. He's that kid at the school races that boom, that's why he's so crazy fast, I don't mean that. I don't mean know how to run, do you know how to run? I mean, how are you going to run? How are you going to do it? There's this guy, Paul, and he wrote a letter to a group of people in a place called Corinth, which is in Greece, which is really cool because you picked to go to the Mediterranean when you were looking at all those holidays, and now we're going to go to Greece. So in Greece, this place called Corinth, which is still there, which is still a place, and Paul, who was a real person in a real place talking to real people, wrote this letter. And this guy, Paul, if you know about him or not, Paul used to hate Jesus followers. He used to hate the church. He used to hate everything to do with it. And he was like, I hate it so much, I'm going to try to wipe it out, destroy it. So he arrested people, threw them into jail. He was totally anti-faith, anti-Jesus. He thought it was just a weird, strange cult, and he was going to be out there to destroy it. I don't know if you know anybody in your life like that. If you do, there's hope for them, because this dude, Paul, had an incredible encounter, and he went from being a Jesus hater to being somebody that all of a sudden gave his life to planting new churches. And he's writing to this church that he started in Corinth. And he's writing them a letter, and he says this to them. So it says, in a race, everybody runs, but only one person gets the prize. That's kind of obvious. One person wins, right? Commonwealth Games are on at the moment. So, how are you going to run? Run to win the race. Run your race to win. Run your race to win. Only one person's going to win. That's okay. He's not saying everybody's going to win. He's saying, in the race, run your race to win. We got to know how to run, people. We got to know how we're going to run. How are we going to face things in life? Run your race to win. He carries on. He says, everyone who competes has strict training. They do this for a prize that doesn't last. They're going to get accolades. They're going to be, Usain Bolt is fastest 100-meter person. Somebody's going to beat him one day. Someday he's not going to be able to keep running at the level he is. It doesn't last. The high performance won't last. We all know that. It's a season, it's for a moment. And Paul's saying, you're running for something that's momentary. You're great, you got a ribbon, great, you got a medal, great, you got a trophy. It's momentary. Paul says, these people are working hard and training themselves for something that's actually momentary. And so he says, hey, we've got something that we can run after that is eternal, that it's heavenly, it's going to last forever. We're running for a prize that doesn't fade. We're running for something bigger. We're running for something totally different. And then he carries on. Therefore, I don't run aimlessly. Something like that. I'm sure he did it like that. Yeah. And nor, if I was a boxer, I just don't do shadow boxing and pretend I'm somehow really training myself and somehow actually doing the fight. I'm just not going to just do some sort of, gray man shadow boxing stuff, if you've seen the movie. Anyway, it's like Paul's saying, it's so practical, isn't it? He's like, run to win. So he carries on. He says, no, I don't run aimlessly. I'm not a boxer who just punches the air. I work hard with my body so that after I have preached to others, I don't myself become disqualified from the prize. Basically saying, like, after I've shared this good news with people and got people running as well, I don't want to become disqualified. I don't want to somehow cut corners or do it short. I want to run the race properly. If I've encouraged other people, if I've preached this message and you're following and you're running the race as well, hey, I don't want to come around that last hurdle and find out that I've been cheating. He's saying, no, don't make shortcuts in life. Don't cheat. I don't want to become disqualified. And so when we have a decision, when we know where we're going to go in life, and to make a beeline, to stop being distracted by all this stuff, because we get distracted all the time. We're the most distracted generation. Psychologists talk about it. They say people are getting distracted, I think it's every 3 seconds now. You're just distracted all the time. We have bombardment of information. It's everywhere. Your phones, your watches, when you get home, I get home and my Alexa beep, notification from Alexa. You have a package due to arrive, It's like, yeah, I know that. I bought it. Yeah, I don't need to be told. It's just we're distracted all the time, and your emails come in all the time, don't they? Emails are 24/7. You ever open your laptop the next morning and it's like, wow, I've just been sent 38 more advertisements. We get it all the time. We are the most distracted generation, and for us to learn how to not be distracted and to reach our destinations, if we're going to make a beeline in life, these 4 principles will absolutely help us. But knowing how to run is the thing. And Paul's not saying you're always going to win. He's not saying that just because you chose to win, everybody wins. He is not the head teacher from the school that just gives everybody a badge for running. Okay? Thank you for taking part. Let's give everybody a little sticker, right? Okay. Paul is a bit old school here. One person is going to win. Accept that. But whatever race you're running, run your race to win. You might be the one who wins. You might not. That doesn't matter. You've got to run your race to win. You have got to go for it. You've got to throw yourself in. You've got to go for it. I want to see you thrive in life. Paul wants to see people thriving in life. We said last week the good news is Jesus came and he said, I came to give you life and life to the full. Jesus came for you to enjoy life. We want to see you thrive. We want to see our communities thrive. We want to see people do well in life, don't we? That's the heart of God. We want to see people do well. I want to see us be able to have goals and run towards those goals and be free from distractions. I want us to be able to keep going no matter what we face in life, that if we hit a roadblock, that we are able to actually keep going. I'd love you to be able to set a goal and achieve it. I don't know what goals you've got in your life. I don't know. But wouldn't you like to achieve them? I've got goals. I'd like to achieve them. If you don't have any goals in life, maybe today your takeaway is actually, I'm standing in a travel agent and I'm looking at a wall of magazines and I haven't yet made up my mind about something I want to go for. It's okay. Make a decision. It's okay to make a decision because it says yes to one thing. It's okay to say no to something else. That's totally cool. It's okay. That's part of life. When you got dressed this morning, you left a whole bunch of clothes behind. They are not in your wardrobe crying. Okay? You said no to a whole bunch of other clothes and you picked only one shirt to wear today. Some of you got jumpers and jackets on as well. Okay, you went for two things. Right? It's okay. You can make decisions. And saying yes to one thing is saying no to something else. It's totally cool. It's totally okay. It's absolutely fine. I want to see us become a people who are resilient. That no matter what roadblock we face in life, we somehow can carry on. That we somehow, no matter what unexpected tragedy, no matter what unexpected inconvenience, small or big, no matter what we face in life, that when it comes our way, that it won't actually knock us off what we're trying to achieve, but we'll be able to say, okay, I'm going to have to readjust my route a bit, but I'm going to carry on going. I'm going to carry on running to win. Even though it's gone a bit of a diversion, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to carry on to win. I want us to be people who can go for it. You know, go for it. Maybe this summer we're talking about making the most. You know, let's go for it in life. Let's go for it. You know, maybe you've got a job, maybe you're in education, maybe, I don't know what you've got going on, but let's just say you're in school. You know, go for it. Just go for it. You know, it doesn't matter. Just go for it. Go for it as best you can. It's all right. There's probably going to be somebody else in that room who's more clever than you. Maybe somebody else in that school is more clever than you. And if there isn't somebody more clever than you in that entire school, guess what? There's going to be somebody more clever than you in another school. It doesn't matter. Just go for it. Just, gosh darn it, just go for it. Maybe you're in a workplace. You're in a workplace environment. You know what? You've got a new job or maybe you've got an old job. Just go for it. Just run that race to win. Run that race to be the best darn employee that they have ever employed. You might not get the promotion. That doesn't matter. You know for yourself you're going to run that race to win. Whatever you're facing in life, just run it to win. You know, I want to treat my kids the best way that I possibly can. Do I always get it right? Heck no. But I'm going to carry on trying because that's one of my goals. Practically, we want to be a church where people who are not yet even like Jesus feel comfortable and safe and have a place that they can explore faith. That's our destination. We know that we want to create a church where those who are unchurched can discover what Jesus is like. So therefore, that determines how we run. That determines what we leave behind. That determines what we take with us. That's our goal. And there's going to be roadblocks along the way, but we're not going to be swayed from that goal of being a church where those people who are unchurched like to be, where people who can belong before they believe, where people can be allowed to journey and discover what it means to follow Jesus. That's what we want to be, a place to inspire people to find and follow Jesus. That's our destination. That's where we're going. And you see, when we know where we're going, we know exactly what to do and what to keep pushing forward. And we're going to run that race to win. We're going to run that race to do it as best we can. Because that's our goal, that's our destination. And that's just a little practical example. I don't know what your example is for your life because I don't know what you've got going on. Maybe you're kind of at the end of a season, or maybe you're about to start some new things. I don't know. Whatever season you're in, I pray that you start to put some of these things in practice because it will help us all as we make a beeline. So quick summary of the last 4 things. Oh, they're right on there. So cool. Know where you're going. Know what to bring and what to leave behind. Know that there will be roadblocks and know how to run. So we're going to close now. Just a couple of things to practically think about. I just want you to take a moment and just pause, maybe consider, think for yourself. Where are you headed in life? Where are you going? You don't have to have the whole thing mapped out. Where are you going? What are you reaching for? Where are you going? Have you decided where you want to go? Are you happy with the way things are heading? Maybe like Paul, you need to kind of reconsider your destination. Paul was doing one thing, and he had to reconsider the way he was doing things. Maybe like Paul, we have to make some changes. Or maybe you're more like the person who stands at the travel agent and just is overwhelmed by all the choices and don't know what to do. It's okay. Make a decision. Just make a decision. Or maybe you're facing a roadblock. Maybe something's happened recently. Maybe something's happened in the past. Maybe something's happened to just kind of get you knocked off course. I don't know what it is, but you know what it is because it's affected you. And whatever that thing is that's knocked you off course, how about you just turn that into a diversion? Rather than it being something that's just going to stop all that hope and all that ambition and cause you to not achieve what you wanted to do. Let it be a diversion, and let's reroute where we need to go. And I know it's annoying to be knocked off course, and if you're in that position, and it's not nice. It's not nice to have that experience. I know that. But as we close, as we think again, then whatever you've got to go for in life, just run the race. Just run it to win. Just go for it. Just go for it. Don't run aimlessly. Don't just box the air. Don't just shadow box and punch. Just go for it. You know? So what if you don't win? It doesn't matter. Just go for it. Just go for it. Let's do it, yeah? Right. I'm just going to close. We're just going to pray for you now. Jesus, I just thank you so much that you came to give us life, and you came to give us life more abundant. I thank you that when we begin to discover more about you, we begin to discover how we can live differently. God, I thank you that you can help show us what we need to change and what we need to do going forward. I thank you that you help us make decisions. Thank you that you help us know what to leave behind and what to bring with us. I thank you too that you also give us strength to get back up. You do give us strength to run again. You do give us strength to face tomorrow. You do give us strength to face the future. And no matter what challenges any of us are facing, I thank you that they don't have to be the end of the road, but they can actually just be diversions. God, that we can get rerouted and carry on with where we were headed. I'll thank you for everybody here this morning, or whether they're in the room or watching online, God, everyone here, that you would just be with them. God, that you would guide them and strengthen them. And thank you that you remind us all that we could make the most during this summer season. And in your name we pray. Amen. If there's any questions, you want to chat about anything, I would absolutely love to chat to you. Come and see us over here. If you've got any of your amazing kiddos over in Superstars, feel free to collect them, but you don't need to collect until 12, so we got another sort of 10, 15 minutes or so to hang out here, grab another drink, say hello to somebody that you haven't yet been able to catch up with, meet somebody new, and yeah, awesome. And we'll see you next week. Cool.